Welcome, everybody, to the Barn Berner podcast. I am your host, Brandon the Pig Plotnick, as always joined by the Berndawg, Wesley Bernero, ready to break down UFC 262 this weekend. Berndawg, how we doing, sir?
It's been a while.
I know, right?
Been a while.
We took UFC 261 off, but holy shit, what a card that was, huh?
What a
re-title fight
event to go to.
So I was going to say, the reason we had to take off that week was because Berndawg took the trek up to Jacksonville, was in the full capacity stadium to witness 3 title fights, a bunch of underdog wins, some new champions, some reigning champions, and everything in between. How was it?
The energy was just insane. You know, they always talk about the energy, but first live fight with a full crowd, everybody there was hyped. Everybody there was having a good time. It was just wild, just absolutely wild. Seeing Weidman's leg snap in half live. Like, I was sitting there looking at it and just all of a sudden just, wait, what happened? The crowd just went silent. And then like once they didn't replay it for like 30 or 40 seconds, almost a minute. And everyone was like waiting for the replay. And then just, oh my God, people were freaking out.
Yeah.
I was just sitting there with my hands on my head like this, like, did that just fucking happen? Against the guy that did it to Anderson Silva? Like,
yeah.
The irony.
The irony, I know. And I bet on Weidman as a cash crop that week, so it was kind of demoralizing bet to lose. But what a weird main card in general. Of course, the Smith-Crute fight, you know, that was a TKO early. I made a joke. I was like, if I would have bet every fight by TKO or KO on the main card, I would have been fucking rich because every single fight ended early. We had a first round finish in Smith, first round finish in Hall, second round early finish by Shevchenko, early finish by Rose, and then a second round finish by Usman.
I mean, it's crazy because like 3 out of the 5 main fights, we didn't really get a fight for. You know what I mean? The Smith-Crute fight, Crute lost from drop leg, which is when you get hit on a low calf kick, all the nerves in your leg go out.
Yeah.
He finished the first round, and then as he was waiting there, he couldn't really stand on it. Once it tightened up on him and he couldn't walk on it, they called the doctor stoppage. So we didn't get to see a fight there. Then obviously we didn't get to see the Weidman fight. And then Rose put Zhang out in like a minute. Yeah. And, you know, it's like, well, all these fights we were really looking forward to and we don't have any answers to.
It was almost anticlimactic, but it was just, you can't argue with how entertaining early finishes are, regardless, especially being there. I can only imagine.
Best live event UFC fight of all time.
Yeah, for you, I'm sure. As a fan, I'm sitting there watching promo videos for 30 minutes at a time because they're trying to kill time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. A live, like, I don't think there's ever been a better live event when you put in the fact that it's the first card with full attendance since COVID. Then you have 3 title fights. Then you have 5 finishes in the 5 fights in the main event. In terms of being at a main event, I don't think there'll ever be a main event like that in history because you have the pandemic buildup and then all the first round finishes. It was just a wild night.
Absolutely.
And then I got stranded in Jacksonville for 3 hours. So I didn't get home till like 4 o'clock in the morning.
But it was all worth it. And that's all you can ask for.
All worth it.
So as we mentioned, this is a preview of the UFC 262 card, the interim lightweight championship between Charles Oliveira and our boy. I'm really excited about this one. Iron Mike. Mike Chandler is going for his second lightweight championship I guess we talked about this almost unified in a sense between Bellator. Now
he'll have his 3rd lightweight title shot because you count the first run in Bellator. Then he lost by a knockout to Patrick Ifier, the pound for pound great in Bellator. He won the double champ. He was 145 and 155. So he lost that, came back, won his lightweight title again, defended it versus Benson Henderson, and now he's going for a third title shot in the UFC. And I couldn't be more excited, especially against a guy like Charles Oliveira that really deserves the shot. So it should have been Dustin Poirier versus Oliveira, but we got what we got, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, the fans got what we want, which was now we get 2 months away. We get actually it's less than 2 months at this point, the trilogy of Conor and Dustin, the Diamond Poirier, and then the winner of that gets to fight the winner of this. So we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the show, as we always do. But we talked a little bit about Bellator. It's been fun. It's been a fun last few weeks of MMA in general, between the PFL being back finally. Yeah. Bellator is back, and the One Championship has had some complete, bomb fights with Eddie Alvarez, and
we're getting Wednesday night fights with. So as a MMA fan, you're in heaven, right?
It's amazing.
You get Wednesday night One Championship, Thursday night PFL, Friday night Bellator, and then Saturday night UFC. Like, it's great, and I definitely want to say, if you're looking for casual fights to watch, the PFL is where it's at. If you don't know, it is a playoff system. If you get a win, you get 3 points. And if you get a finish in the first round, you get 3 points. A finish in the second round, you get 2 points. Finish in the third round, you get 4 points. At the end of the regular season, every fighter fights multiple times. At the end of the regular season, the top 4 in your division make it. So at the end of that regular season, you get guys gunning for first round knockouts. And throughout the entire regular season, you get guys gunning for first round knockouts. And you saw that in many of the fights that have already gone down. Guys are going swinging. They're looking for 6 points in that first round finish. But at the end of the season, you get some really electric fights because guys could be down 5 points in the rankings, and they need a first round knockout to make it into the playoffs. So if you're looking for rock'em sock'em robots and guys going out and getting first round finishes, watch the PFL on Thursdays on ESPN and ESPN Plus, because it's fun. It's
electric. Fun. It's electric. I love betting on it too. The only tricky part with the PFL, from my perspective, is the way that they set it up. For the most part, each week is they do a women's division and a men's division, and like every single fight is of that division. Now we got the bad end, like for example, the bad end of the straw last week, where we had the women's lightweight division, and those girls, frankly, first of all, they're not entertaining to watch, and they're just not very good. So it's like every girls fight that was coming on, it's like, but then they mix it. Then they mix it with the men's heavyweight, which is like ideal. You're watching, guys just throw haymakers. So
exactly. Well, I mean, that is the women heavyweight. So
right, exactly. But either way, just wanted to quickly touch on how great the MMA landscape is right now. But as we like to do on the Barn Berner podcast, this is not about talking about the landscape of the UFC or talking about the landscape of what's going on in the MMA world. It's about feeding winners and talking about bets, because at the end of the day, we live in a world where betting is king, and
we're a bunch of degenerates.
And we're all degenerates. And come Saturday, trust me, when you're watching the fights, this is a good card. And you're watching the fights, you're going to want to bet on them. And we're going to give you all of the insight that you will need in order to make informed decisions. We are going to have our flag plants. We're going to give you some pig parlays and some prelim parlays. We're going to give you our dogs, our Berndawgs, and we're going to take it from there. So let's jump right into UFC 262. Early prelims. Let's start us off. There are 3 fights on the early prelim card. I did my due diligence. Nothing stuck out to me. I know that there was one fight that caught your eye. What was it?
That's the Aguilar versus Lutz fight. So really what we're looking at here is you have an entire card full of close favorites, pick'ems almost, which is going to result in a lot of decisions. Don't be surprised if you don't see a finish the entire prelims, or you don't see a finish the entire main event. Because it's going to be that kind of night. And what sticks out to me here is Kevin Aguilar's iron Mexican chin. I mean, this dude has been in some wars. He fought Brandon Moreno tooth and nail almost beat Brandon Moreno in a decision, who we know went toe-to-toe with Figueiredo to a draw and is going to fight for the title. So, he is a striker. He's not going to take anybody down, but he's also got a chin like an ox. So I don't anticipate Lutz, who is kind of known for his grappling and wrestling.
Well, he's a debutante as well.
Yeah, there's exactly. So he's going to have to shake out the UFC debut jitters, which is usually in the first round. So unless Aguilar gets a perfectly placed punch, I don't anticipate any finishes here. It's going to go to decision. Aguilar is probably going to win. He's the better striker. Who knows? All I know is that I don't see a finish here. So it's going to be leg one of my prelims parlay, over 2.5 at -210. On our book, it's -205, but that's where you're going to find it on most places, -210. And get it in early because it's probably going to get juiced. It's probably going to move to -260, -275 by the end. Once the sharps pick it up and move the steam. When we talk about steam here, guys, we're talking about Vegas backing the heavy favorites and just pounding a line and moving the steam.
The sharp money, as we like to say.
Yeah, just like an old steam train picks up steam as it starts to go. That's what we're talking about when Vegas steams something. So two things to quickly point out now that you triggered two thoughts in my mind, things that I failed to mention, previously in the introduction. But for starters, this is going to be an unbelievable card from head to toe. There's not a single favorite above -250 out there. So every fight is really going to be competitive. That's what you want to see when you're going into an entire card at a pay-per-view event. And then speaking of being at a pay-per-view event, and you were talking about this guy making his UFC debut, not only is he making his UFC debut, he's making it in front of 19,000 fans in Houston, Texas at the Toyota Center. So almost a full stadium. And he's going to be walking into that first fight against the guy with an iron chin. I think that you're backing the right guy here. Yeah. And the guy who is not looking for a takedown at all. So anticipate a first round of them feeling each other out. And then maybe some grappling up against the cage as Lutz tries to get a takedown. But ultimately, this is going to go to decision. I love it, but I don't want to juice 210. So I got another over that I love that we're going to parlay that. And we're going to jump right into it, skipping over a few fights that we're going to get back to. But we're going to move to the actual prelims for the Lando Groovy. Love that name. Groovy Venata versus Mike Grundy. I'm taking the over as my second leg of the parlay. Again, a juiced over at -195, over 2.5 rounds. So let me break this down real quick. Lando Venata is a very experienced striker in the UFC. He has 10 or plus UFC fights under his belt. He's fought some great guys. Mike Grundy has 2 UFC fights under his belt, and he is a British wrestler known for his grappling, known to try and take you down and ground and pound. Now, this is why we're going decision here, ladies and gentlemen. Lando Venata has 7 of 8 fights since 2017 have gone to decision. Mike Grundy has a similar decision record, lots of decisions there. If I had to back a side, I'm taking Lando Venata because it's like a pick'em. And Lando Venata is a very, very good striker. But I see that Vegas is favoring the wrestler here with Grundy. It's a pick'em, -120, -110 right now, depending where you get it. Let me check that for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. We have that at -115. So pick'em. They're both pick'em. So expect a wrestling match for Mike Grundy trying to get Lando Venata to the ground. So we're going to back the over here. And the second piece of my prelims parlay. What do you think?
Yeah, I can dig it, especially, DraftKings Sportsbook currently has Venata at +100 versus Grundy at -125. So I think that there's, when you're going to take a big favorite, like you're planning to do in the early prelim, to tag team that with a guy or in any case, you got the over of it. So I think that it looks like this is swinging back and forth is what I'm getting at. The odds makers don't know what they're doing on the fight. I think that there's good opportunity on, using that over as a piece to go with your early prelim bet. So let's jump from there
Real
directly.
Quick, last piece of that is when you look at what we're doing here, from a betting standpoint, is we're taking two pick'ems. I'm looking at my bookie, you're looking at DraftKings, but they're basically pick'ems or close to pick'ems. I have Tucker Lutz at -120, Kevin Aguilar at -110. We're taking two really close fights that they don't know who's going to win, and we're taking both of those overs that are juiced to give ourselves about plus 115 of a bet in that 2-leg parlay. So we're not taking too much risk because we don't know what's going to happen with these fights, but we want some early action in the prelims. And we're going to do that by taking two over bets in two very close fights.
Respect. Totally well said. So let's continue with the prelim conversation. The first fight on the prelim card, we've got Jordan Wright in a middleweight bout versus Jamie Pickett. We've seen plenty of Pickett before. We did see Jordan Wright in a recent loss to Joaquin Buckley, and he's going to be looking to rebound against Pickett, who is a guy with some serious power in the middleweight division.
Some serious power, but he has trouble leading the dance. So you saw in his last fight against a guy, I can't pronounce his name, a Cameroon fighter, Nchukwi. We saw that even though Nchukwi was very slow, he was leading the dance, and Pickett was backed up against the fence the entire fight. It was pretty boring. I actually went back and watched this fight because I was going to take Jordan Wright. But you know what? It's too close here. So we saw Jordan Wright fight Joaquin Buckley and pretty much get his ass kicked. But what we saw in that fight in the first round was him throwing some serious power with some serious techniques. Buckley was just a little quicker than Wright to the punch, and that's why Wright kept getting tagged. But he managed to stick it out through the entire first round, when at about that halfway point, Buckley was just tagging him just all over the place. I think he scored 2 knockdowns at the end. He held on. They started in the second round. Buckley dropped him again. Ref called the fight. Now, we know Joaquin Buckley has some crazy power, so I'm not going to take that away from Wright. I think Wright has the striking to lead the dance and exploit Jamie Pickett's lack of ambiguity. He's not very ambitious. He wants to counter off the back end. So if I had to take a fighter here, I'm taking Jordan Wright, who we also need to nominate for best nickname on the card as the Beverly Hills Ninja.
I saw that. There's also another guy. I don't know if we've gotten to him yet. The Angel of Death. I think might be on the early prelims.
Yeah, but that's like Greg Hardy with the Prince of War. Like that's just bad. And this is funny. It's a funny nickname. And the serious names are cool, but like when you get into the Night Stalker or the freaking the Prince of War, like come on.
Jamie the Night Wolf Pickett, also not too bad.
That's what I was referring to. That's
not too bad.
That's not too bad. But I'm going with the comedy side. For best nickname on the card, that's my nomination. And my lean here is Wright. It's a middleweight fight. It's a pick'em. So if you want some action, follow the Beverly Hills Ninja. He's 11-1.
It is a great name. Every time you say it, I love it.
Every time you say it. But let's not forget he's 11-1, and his only loss is Joaquin Buckley, who we've seen has absolute lightning in his hands and is destined for great things in the middleweight division once he gets some of his cardio issues ironed out. So don't worry too much about either Jamie Pickett or Jordan Wright's last 2 fights. Just know the fighter tendencies, and the tendency for Wright is to throw his very good strikes at you and rush at you in the cage. Pickett has a tendency to back up against the cage and let you lead the dance while countering. And in that matchup, I'm taking who's leading the dance, at minus 115. Jordan Wright. We'll let you know, folks, if we bet it, but our lean is right here, and we can go ahead and move on to something we're both taking.
Yeah. So I hear you on the lean there. That's a fade for me at the moment. I don't have a feel for that whatsoever. But let's get to a women's flyweight bout with a little. We call her Little Shevchenko. That's our own personal nickname. Antonina, Baby Shev, Antonina Shevchenko, who is obviously the champ's little sister, and she will be facing off in a flyweight bout versus Andrea Lee. Currently, Shevchenko is, from last I saw, she was about a minus 125 favorite, which means the money is somewhat coming in on Lee. Lee is the number 11th ranked flyweight, and I knew I was going to do this at some point. Yeah. Antonina
Baby Shev
is ranked number 12. So this is going to be an interesting one. I think that we've talked a lot about the two of them in this matchup off camera, and really the main things that stand out to me are how battle tested Antonina has been. She's fought some legit contenders versus Andrea Lee, who's just kind of getting onto the scene. What are you seeing here?
Well, let me lay it out for you. So Andrea Lee came in to the UFC. She won 3 straight decision victories against Veronica Macedo, Ashley Evans Smith, and Montella De La Rosa, all game fighters. She pulled out decision victories there. But then once she started facing some serious caliber grapplers, she's on an 0-3 losing streak against JoJo Calderwood, Lauren Murphy, and Roxanne Modafferi, who they have in common. They both lost to Roxanne Modafferi. If you know who Roxanne Modafferi is, she's the happy fighter. She is literally just a grappler, wants to bring you down, hold you down, ground and pound you, and look for a submission, but she's not very good at it. But, she can get some wins here. My thing is, if both of these fighters can get taken down and lose to Roxanne Modafferi, it just goes to show that neither have a takedown defense, and neither are probably going to look for a takedown to begin with. So if it's just a straight up kickboxing Muay Thai fight, I'm going with Baby Shev, who has 40 Muay Thai wins and like 21 kickboxing wins. It's pretty unreal the amount of experience that Baby Shev has under her belt with the amount of just professional stand-up striking fights. So if we're taking a stand-up match, I'm going with the length of Baby Shev. She's much larger and bigger than Andrea Lee. She's going to have the reach advantage, and she has the advantage of having a personal training partner as one of the best strawweights of all time in Valentina Shevchenko. So if people don't think that all they've been doing as sisters is working on Antonina's wrestling, you're out of your mind. Just because she's her younger sister doesn't mean that she's not going to improve like Valentina improves in between fights. So I don't anticipate any takedowns here. If there are takedowns, I think Shevchenko's really, really, really been working that game with one of the best in Valentina. So I'm going to take the pick'em here with the longer striker, the striker with more power, and the striker that actually finishes people, because Lee has only gone to decision in the UFC in 6 fights. Shevchenko has, I believe, 2. She's got 2 TKO or KO.
Yeah, she just beat Lipsky by TKO on punches, and Pudilova on a technical submission rear naked.
And then she has a
TKO in Contender Series. That's what got her
exactly
her entrance into the UFC. So, now, I just learned something. She's the older sister. Did you know that?
Wow.
You kept calling her Baby Shev.
We're a bunch of casuals, bro.
I know, dude. I just looked it up. I was like, she's 36 and Valentina's 33.
I'm gonna take the neck on that one.
Yeah. We've always said that too. I mean, granted, in our defense, she's only been in the UFC. She's only had 4 fights in the UFC. She's an up-and-comer. Or it seemed like she was an up-and-comer, and she's been living under the shadows of Valentina. So for that, we're always going to call her Baby Shev. But she's earned that right. because she's living under the shadows, and until she gets
Dude.
to that level, she's baby Chev in my book.
How did you not take this chance to call me a casual? I've been getting you really hard with it lately, and this was your time to shine.
This was my way of doing it, indirectly.
Indirectly.
All right. So I actually am also going to ride the Shevchenko train, baby Chev, as we like to call her. This is going to make me laugh every time now.
Every time.
I'm going to take baby Chev. I think we know that she's got some serious striking game. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that she's been working on the ground game. I don't see – Intrally doesn't seem to me a girl that scares me. That's gonna, give her that much problems.
Five is an American kickboxer.
She's got 5 losses in her career. She's smaller. She's 5'6" versus 5'8". She has a 37-inch leg reach versus a 41 for oh my God, to baby Chev, because baby Chev's just gonna have more length on her, which is gonna give her better chances to
her arms
and avoid the
ridiculously long.
Yeah,
too.
So
she is 5'8", but she's got a 6-foot wingspan. It looks like.
Yeah,
every time you see her fight, she's very, very lengthy. So I have 1 unit on her right now that could increase to 2 units as we continue to look at the reports and continue to take in, different betting analysts' opinions on these fights. We're doing this on a Tuesday before most people get their breakdowns out. So we always have to take that into account, that these bets may change, but the bets that we tell you are locked in. And I have baby Chev to win for 1 unit.
Me too. So that's a handshake bet for you and I. Let's move on. We talked about Grundy and Venata. I'm fading that fight altogether. So let's get to the last fight of the prelims, the main event of the prelims, as you could call it. It's going to be Jacare Souza, Ronaldo Jacare Souza in a middleweight bout versus Andre Muniz, and it currently sits at a pick'em. So this is going to be quite interesting. I know you don't have much to offer on terms of a bet on this one from what we've discussed, but I'm going to ride the veteran here. There's something about Jacare. I think that he's coming off of a 3-fight losing streak. We know this. He's aging. He's 41 years old. But he's still one of the absolute best jiu-jitsu grapplers we've ever seen in the history of the sport. So you can never discount that. And he's going to be facing a guy who has no experience whatsoever. This guy literally has been he got his first fight from a contender series. He's only had 2 fights in the UFC. He's faced absolutely nobody, guys that I've never even heard of, to be totally honest with you. So this is it. And then he's going to be facing a guy in Jacare. And let me just list off some of the guys that this guy has fought. And I'm just going to do it by chronological order. But Kevin Holland, Jan Blachowicz, Jack Hermanson, Weidman, Gastelum, Derek Brunson, Robert Whitaker. This is Vilter Belfort, Joel Romero, Musasi back in the day. Either way, you get the point, right? This is a guy that's got some serious octagon experience against some absolute studs.
We got to keep going. He's got Robbie Lawler, Ed Herman, Luke Rockhold, Tim Kennedy on top of everybody else that you named. And if people don't know who Gegard Mousasi is, he submitted Gegard Mousasi, the middleweight champion in Bellator, who recently fought Rory as Rory went up to 185 and he beat the fuck out of Rory.
Yeah, and not only that Derek Brunson fight was a rematch. He's beat him twice. I mean, this is like a legit, fighter. We've talked about this in the past, and I think in a previous card where he's one of those guys that's over the hill. 2 guys that we've talked about that on this card, we're going to talk about obviously Ferguson later, which we've talked about him being over the hill, but there's certain times when they get themselves in the spot. He has lowered himself in competition after 3 straight losses. He obviously isn't giving up on his career. Not only that, I think the stylistic matchup really works for him. Muniz is not a guy that has good takedown defense, and he's going to be facing Jacare, who is going to – dude, Jacare took Derek Collins. We know Derek Collins' takedown defense sucks. Mm-hmm. He took him down, and he was controlling the whole fight. What can you do when Kevin Holland can knock you out from his back? I mean, only certain guys in the entire world can do that. I don't think Andre
would have beat after what we just saw from Kevin Holland. he probably would have beat Kevin Holland.
Exactly.
Holding him down on the ground, and he got lucky with a fucking lucky punch out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And you know what? He's had a lot of time off since then, and this is a absolute nobody he's fighting. Now, maybe he's a young stud that comes out and knocks him the fuck out. I don't see it happening. And, I didn't have a bet on this, but, we live and die by these sort of record breakdowns. Someone without experience versus the experience. So instead of passing like I was, I'm going to live off of our show's philosophy and take Jacare for a unit with you.
All right. I love it. I'm definitely in on that. I think that this is also a guy who's going to feed off of this energy of a full crowd. He hasn't fought in a full crowd. Even the Holland fight was in front of a crowd versus a guy who has never really fought in front of a crowd because he's still so new to the game. Let's see.
Jacare's got something to prove.
He's
got something to prove. He's on a losing streak. He's not happy about his performances in his last few fights, and he's fighting an inexperienced fighter. And I think we see Jacare by sub, to be honest.
I might sprinkle on that as well because that's how I see it going. I think it's a takedown or it's him in the over as a parlay.
Yeah. All right.
It's time to get to the main card of the evening. Leading us off, which was actually supposed to be the main event of the early prelims. I always say the main event because that's the way I like to say it. Not the early prelim, of the prelims, but we had a fight come off the card at the last second. So Matt Schnell is going to be fighting in a bantamweight bout versus Rogerio Bontorin. And Matt Schnell is currently sitting at about a minus 165, 155 favorite here. I know I have a bet here. This is my piggy parlay of the night. But before I get there, any thoughts on this?
Matt Schnell looked amazing in the Tyson Nam fight. We had Tyson Nam in that fight. And I've been watching Matt Schnell for the last 3 or 4 fights. He continues to impress as a young fighter. He continues to impress. He's got a great ground game. If he's on his back, he probably will submit you. He's got 2 triangle victories off his back in the recent future. And he's got
the recent future.
The recent future, the recent history, and he's got a great stand-up game to go with it. So I don't know much about Rodrigo. I looked up his record here, and that's really all we have to go off of because he's got 2 fights. He did have a
that Kai Kara France fight, man. That was all you.
Yeah, it was. I love Kai Kara France there. And it showed that, he has a TKO doctor stoppage from a cut on Raulin Paiva, who is his best win, which he got a cut win. It happens. It's, he was fighting well in that fight, but as soon as he takes a step up in competition versus Ray Borg and Kai Kara France, easy wins on both sides. Ray Borg absolutely dominated him. He missed weight, which was the big deal there. But Ray Borg took him down maybe like 10 times that fight. It was boring to watch because it was just Ray Borg pump and dump takedown. But as soon as he goes up in competition, he doesn't fight very well. And Matt Schnell fights up to his competition as we've seen in the past. And I definitely like that. I always tail the piggy parlay just because I'm a good friend. But I really do like this Matt Schnell bet. And, I might be taking it. Check our betting cards when we put them out on Saturday mornings. That will have everything that me and the pig have locked in. But I'm backing you on the Matt Schnell fight. He looked fantastic. He looked like he's ready to break out. Like he's going to come out on this fight and show everybody why he deserves some respect in that division.
Yeah, and as we always like to say, Vegas knows. He's sitting there as a nice minus 155 favorite. My piggy parlay is Matt Schnell in the over of 2.5, which it's minus 155. The over 2.5 is minus 135. You parlay the 2, you are looking at about a plus 185 bet. That is some nice value in my books. I think that if he's going to win, that's how he's going to win. So he's going to win by decision. That's another way you can bet this if you want to. I find the value at plus 180 for him to win outright and for this fight to go the distance.
The over in every single fight on this card is going to be a good bet. I'm telling you, we're going to be watching the main event at freaking 1:30 a.m. because there's going to be so many decisions.
Yeah, that's usually what happens when you see a card like I mentioned where the biggest favorite is -250. And not only that, there's not a single men's heavyweight fight on here, and there's really nothing for women.
Or light heavyweight. Middleweight's the highest.
Yeah, there's no light heavyweight either, and you don't even see anything for the women's above a flyweight. So, yeah. I mean, there's not much knockout power to be had here. Maybe we'll see some cool submissions. That'd be fun. But there is one fight that has some serious knockout power, and that is going to be Shane Burgos, however you say it, in a featherweight bout versus Edson Barbosa, a guy who has some serious octagon experience against some real studs, but he's coming in as an underdog. And Shane Burgos is, he's coming in off of a loss, but gaining some momentum as the number 9, fighter in the division against number 13. As Edson Barbosa has lost a few. I mean, he's been fighting for 13 years at this point, 12 years, and he's built up a resume. And it seems like this is a card in general where we're seeing a lot of guys with a lot of experience, maybe at the tail end of their career, trying to claw their way back and really make a name for themselves. And Edson Barbosa is almost a pick 'em. I mean, he's barely an underdog.
Yeah.
He just lost his father. He's got a lot to fight for. It seems he's motivated. Burgess, he's got so much volume in his arsenal. He's just going to come at you. This is going to be a fight that's going to be standing. They are going to be punching each other's faces off. You're going to see blood in this one, and it's making me think about the over/under. But I got to hear your thoughts first.
Just thank you for the perfect layup, brother. Just home run right off that softball. Because this is the only under that I'm taking on the entire card, and it's my Berndawg of the night at +155. I locked it in already. When we look at this fight, there's a lot of existential factors that we have to look at. Burgos is currently ranked 9 in an absolutely stacked featherweight division. Barbosa is ranked 13 because he's clawing his way up the rankings from the lightweight division where he was ranked much higher. He has had some absolute wars, but this is going to be just an absolute stand-up brawl. So this is the biggest breakdown I have. So apologies, folks. We're going to go pretty heavy into it, but we're going to start with both guys are very impressive when it comes with striking with volume. They are, remnant of Calvin Kattar, Max Holloway. They're going to sit there and they're going to throw punches and bunches with power behind them, which is very rare in that division. It's to have the power behind the volume striking. Now, what I want to focus on here is each guy's finish rate. So out of each wins, we're going to break down their finish percentage and their KO percentage. So Edson Barbosa has a 61% finish rate in his career in wins, and 57% of those were KOs. Then we have Burgos with a 76% finish rate, but only a 38% KO percentage. So both of these guys have showed that they finish well over 50% finish rate. And when you're betting an under, that's a great line to look at. So now we're going to go into the existential factors. This is a statement fight for both guys. If Shane Burgos wins, this is the biggest win of his career in terms of the fighter, the biggest name that he's beat. Now, he beat Cub Swanson, but he beat Cub Swanson at the tail end of Cub Swanson's career. You could say this is the tail end of Edson Barbosa's career, but he's only 35, and Shane Burgos is 30. So there's plenty of gas in the tank for Barbosa. So if Burgos wins, this is a huge statement saying, I beat Edson Barbosa. He's only ranked 13th in the featherweight division, but he's a top, 5 to 10 caliber fighter in any division that he's fighting at. Now, for Barbosa, this is a path to a title contention. If he beats the number 9 guy, he jumps all the rest of the guys in front of them off of his name and off of his resume and the people that he's fought. So both guys have some real incentive to go out there and make a statement win. Now, if either guy wins by decision, neither of them move up the ranking. You know why? Because Giga Chikadze, the number 10 featherweight fighter, just came out and knocked out who was he fighting? Remind me. Either way, he came
Swanson,
out.
Cub Swanson.
There we go. He came out and he knocked out Cub Swanson in impression fashion. Now, Burgess already did that, but it doesn't matter. With Dana White, if you want to get to the title, you have to impress. And both of these guys know that, and they have the tools to do that. So the reason why I'm taking the under is Burgos gets tempted into brawls consistently. And you saw this in the Calvin Kattar fight specifically. He was beating Kattar at one point when he was standing back and he was counterpunching. But because he's a brawler, he got tempted into a brawl, and Calvin Kattar ended up finishing him. The same exact thing happened in the Josh Emmett fight. Burgos was winning the first half of the fight. Josh Emmett convinced him to get into a brawl. Emmett ended up winning what we thought was a bad decision, but either way, he still won. So that tendency for Burgos to get into a brawl with Barboza is there. Now, Barboza also has lightweight power in the featherweight division. Remember, he cut down from lightweight to featherweight. So when he is hitting you with punches, think Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway. When you saw Dustin Poirier hit Max Holloway, it had way more effect on him than when Max hit him. And that's what we'll see in this fight. Now, it's going to be a really fun fight. And this is our fun bet. This is our Berndawg. This is plus 155. I put $20 on it, which is basically 0.5 of a unit. So throw a 20 spot on it. Enjoy what's going to be, I think, the fight of the night is going to be this fight. I'm calling that now, and I'm going to take that under and hope that all the tendencies that we've gone over in this fight end up with a knockout.
Wow. That was a lot to digest, and I think that was. I don't have anything to add to it. Basically, that's all I can say.
Exactly.
Honestly, I fed it to you on a silver platter, and you kind of just ate it, and then we're just all digesting right now.
Yeah, not planned, but you fed it to me perfectly, and I think this is going to be a fun one. It's our dog. When you're betting an underdog, never expect to win, but follow the numbers, and the numbers here over the course of their career tell me that we have a good chance that somebody's going to get finished.
All right. Let's move on to a women's flyweight bout. We have the number 2 ranked flyweight in the division, Caitlin Chikugian versus Vivian Araujo. I'm never going to get this right. Unfortunately, I'm not Hispanic, so I'm just going to have to say it as, white and Gringo as I can. Araujo. All right, so let's go with that. And it's looking like Chikugian, as you would expect, is your favorite. Pretty decent favorite, about minus 150. Araujo is about plus 120. I'm just going to call her Vivi since that is her nickname after all.
Yeah, I like
so
that.
I'm gonna ride with that. Makes my life a lot easier. And we know a lot about Chikugian. We've bet on her plenty. We've bet against her. We've watched her. She makes me want to go to bed every single time she's on a card because she is the most boring fighter. Who's the other girl in the flyweight division that you hate? Maybe it's bantamweight.
Carla Esparza.
Yeah, this is my version of that for you because she just puts me to sleep. She's so boring. She could do it all. Honestly, she's a jack of all trades. She'll stand there and strike with you boringly. She'll keep her distance, come in with some kicks, maybe throw a few jabs, but she'll also try to take you down, hold you on the cage. Just do the typical things that you need to win in a decision. Meanwhile, Vivi she's small, and this is going to be an interesting one because she's smaller, but she's got hands. This girl can scrap. I'm pretty interested to see it in this one. The odds are obviously leaning towards Chikugian. It looks like if she wins this fight, she's going to get one more chance at the title. We know that she lost her last title fight. What are you thinking?
I think I'm going to have to bring you to the farm on this one, brother.
We're gonna take it to the barn.
Take it to the barn.
All right, yeah.
Have to take it to the barn here because I think you're suffering from some recency bias, and I'm gonna have to take Old Faithful. You know, it's like betting on Beneil Dariush, who's fighting, tonight. She's gonna come out and boringly take her down, hold her down, hit her with elbows and punches, and wrestle her way to a decision. And the reason I'm on the other side because Vivi is a better striker, and I like that you have that lean, but you're forgetting how Chookagian how she fights when she fights strikers, because she's shown that in previous fights she can stand and outpoint you too. She doesn't have to take you down to win, because she couldn't take Cynthia Calvillo down in her last fight. And what'd she do? She just stayed on the outside, used her length, jab, jab, punch, throw a leg kick, jab, jab, punch, throw a leg kick. And it's only because Vivi's smaller and that she doesn't have too much pressure that I don't think she can put enough pressure to get Chookagian out of there. You know, I don't think she can put her in deep water. I think Chookagian has enough experience. I mean, dude, Chookagian fought Andrade, Antonio Babyshev, Valentina Shev, Jennifer Maya, Jojo Calderwood. They do both share a loss to Jessica I. But Jojo's been fighting since 2016 in the UFC, and at a pick'em, we're gonna follow the Jacare Souza method that you. Well,
it's not a pick'em. She is a favorite about -150, so you're gonna have to lay some juice on the Chookagian side. I mean, from my perspective here, Rajao is 4-1. I'm hearing rumors. There's rumors in the MMA world that Chookagian's looking to start a family soon. She's no spring chicken at this point, and if that's the case, I think there's a chance that she might be fighting fighting her for her last fight almost every fight. And if she keeps winning, she's going to keep fighting until she gets to that chance where she gets one more title fight. That's the idea. If she loses, she'll never get back to that title fight, and that could be the end of her career. So she does have a lot to fight for. I'll give her that. But we're also looking at someone that could be at the tail end of their career versus an up-and-comer in Vivi. Just give me the underdog here. It's simply a dog play. It's, for everybody out there, this is also a little bit biased. I don't like Chookagian. She bores me. That's my handicap. I'm going to ride it till I die. Sometimes the pig has to, get his little snout and, get it and roll in some mud and, eat the dirt when he makes these kind of calls. But I'm not going to flag plant here, but I'm going to ride the dog.
It's all right. What are we taking to the barn for?
Yeah, so we got to take it to the barn for everybody out there that
we got to have something behind it. I know Bet the Farm guys, take it to the barn, but if we take it to the barn, what are we winning?
All right, let's go with
something easy.
I don't know if I want to make it. I was gonna say like a bottle or something, but I was like,
you know what? I was gonna say a bottle of bourbon too. Let's call it a bottle of bourbon under $30.
All right, that works. The funny part is like whoever wins or loses is just going to lose even more. It's just a bigger financial loss, but the winner gets more out of it.
Exactly. And that's why
I'm getting the shit end of the stick though, because you're getting it at a pick'em at -150. So how about this? If you win, it's for me, it's under 30. If I win, it's got to be above 35.
Okay.
All right.
Deal.
All right. For everybody that out here that only
that's very fair.
For everybody out there that listens to or doesn't listen to Bet the Farm podcast, which if you're listening to this and you don't, you're a loser. But whenever we have two people on opposite sides of a bet, we take it to the barn, and at the barn you can make a bet between other farm members, and that is what we are talking about right here.
We disagree on the bet.
Correct. So that'll be a fun one. Vivi versus Chookagian. I can't wait to fall asleep during that bet and wake up and owe you a bottle.
Well, at least this really puts some some emphasis behind it. Like, the one unit that we're going to bet on each fighter, is fun and all, but this is bragging rights. So let's take it to
I mean, whatever bottle I get you.
We haven't taken one to the barn yet. So
whatever bottle I get you, I'm taking at least a couple drinks out of. So it's a win-win.
No, I mean, the rule is we got to drink the bottle together.
Yeah, we'll drink it together. Yeah. Fair enough.
Hopefully on the live stream Saturday.
I like that idea. We'll see what happens with this Florida Panthers game. It looks like we might be headed to a live event ourselves. Another live event for the Berndawg. The kid loves his sports.
Got to.
Let's talk about the co-main event of the evening. Tony El Cucuy Ferguson as a slight underdog in a lightweight bout versus Beneil Dariush. Dariush is on an absolute heater right now. And it's not just, recently. I think he's won 5 in a row right now. And it's not like he's fighting, nobodies. This guy's beating Jacare Close. He's beaten Carlos Diego Ferreira twice already now. He's fought Camacho, Drew Dober. Thiago Moises. These are some pretty impressive wins. And meanwhile, on the other side,
I'd say he's a top 3 wrestler in the division.
Yeah, and he's getting some knockout wins too. He's really impressive. Yeah. And then on the other side, you got Tony Ferguson was, let's just say a year ago was looking at the number 2 contender in the lightweight division, which is stacked as is. Number 2, number 3, potentially a title fight. Obviously the Khabib fight was supposed to happen and never did, and he kind of got screwed. And ever since then, his career's gone downhill. We always knew that fight was cursed, and it appears that the Khabib just has a curse on him. And ever since that retirement, Ferguson's career has gone downhill, and now he's coming off of back-to-back really ugly losses. Charles Oliveira absolutely dominated him in his last fight. And he's just looking like a shell of himself. The line here that we're looking at is looking like Ferguson at plus 125 and the Dariush at minus 150. Now the over-under is 2.5.
So I'm going to say that look around, because I'm looking at minus 170 Dariush, plus 140 Ferguson. So always remember, guys, you might have a book, but always have a secondary book just in case. Here at the Barn Berner, we have 3 books to
you gotta shop. Shopping is a pleasure.
You have to shop. You have to have one mainstream book like mybookie.ag, like Bovada, like DraftKings. We are lucky as hell that Florida just passed to legalize gambling, because now we can get DraftKings lines. DraftKings are always going to have great lines. They put out the gamblers line because they're a relatively new sports book and they want people to get there. So if there is DraftKings in your state, open up an account with them. We're not sponsored by them whatsoever. I just see consistently that they put out the best lines, but always shop. That's our advice here.
If you're a Bovada better, find other books out there, because that's the opposite of DraftKings. They've been around the longest, and they're going to give you the absolute shittiest odds they can, because they know that they've got so much money and they're making so much money off of idiots that they can.
Exactly. So
sorry to cut you off.
Let's get into this cap. You see, I know not everybody watches, but some people listen, our friends. You see this full page of notes. There's so much notes there. I don't have to fucking do shit to make this bet. Beneil Dariush is not going to finish Tony Ferguson. Charles Oliveira couldn't finish Tony Ferguson. It took 5 rounds for Justin Gaethje to finish Tony Ferguson. Beneil Dariush is not finishing Tony Ferguson in 3 rounds. So, shell of himself, Tony Ferguson, I don't think he's going to finish Dariush either. This is easily a flag plant. I'm taking that flag. I'm planting it right into the ground, and I'm taking the juice at minus 175 over 2.5 rounds. That's it. I don't need anything behind it. Beneil Dariush does not have the stopping power or the submission game to submit Tony Ferguson. He's got the wrestling to take Ferguson down and hold him down and ground and pound. And if they stand up, maybe he'll try his his stand-up. Tony Ferguson isn't as dangerous as he used to be in the stand-up game, so I don't think Tony Ferguson's going to finish him standing up either. So, I mean, it just screams over, and I don't care that there's no value there. Just eat it because it's free money.
That's an interesting cap. I'm a little torn on this. I do have just a gut feeling that Ferguson's going to come out and kind of show out a little bit. I think that
if I was taking a side, I'm taking the dog here. This is a dog or pass if you're not betting over under.
Yeah. So I think that, flag plants. That's interesting. It's minus 175 on the over. Going to have to lay some juice there.
Oh, I hate that. I fucking hate laying juice on bets like that. And I know you do it. And I've learned a little bit.
I do it all the time.
You do it all the time, and I've learned a little bit from you on that. We can all take advice from our friends, even though we might disagree on other things. This is easy money. If it was 5 rounds, the over would be 4.5. It's 3 rounds, so the over's 2.5. No, he's not going to finish Tony Ferguson. He doesn't have the ground and pound, doesn't have the stand-up. He's an extremely well-rounded fighter who has all the tools to take Tony Ferguson down and hold him there. We will probably see him test out some of his stand-up. He's going to get tagged by Tony Ferguson's jab in his unorthodox style and revert right back to Old Faithful, which is trying to take him down. Tony Ferguson may have the takedown defense to stop it. I don't think he does, but that just results in a lot of cage time, a lot of wasting time. This is easy. I didn't even need to look into this. I didn't look into a single thing here. I know what's going to happen. I'm flag planting minus 175 over 2.5 rounds.
What about Dariush parlayed with the over of 2.5 at plus 155?
That's a smart bet. That's a very smart bet. Very smart bet. If you do not want to lay the juice, that is a smart bet. But always remember, folks, to look to see what Dariush is to win by decision. Now, normally when you parlay with the over-under, you're going to get better juice.
Yeah, you're going to get better odds because you get that extra 2.5 minutes.
Always look.
Yeah, I think
that's just a tidbit that I'm putting there. If I was attacking this bet, thinking, that Dariush is going to win by decision, then absolutely I'm parlaying Dariush with the over. But you got to remember that some people's books are going to have heavier lines on Dariush and heavier lines on the over. So maybe they won't get plus 155. Maybe they'll get plus 110, plus 120, and maybe Dariush to win by decision is higher than that. So my advice is to look before you bet.
All right. Well, I think my lean right now is on that parlay, but
I like that parlay. I just, honestly, I'd almost even argue, there's some even some value, I think, if you're going to really go parlay and, not risk as much as obviously you would laying the juice. Let me see. I just want to see the odds real quick. What about parlaying? This sounds crazy, but Ferguson and the under or in the over, sorry, because I don't think Ferguson's knocking him out by any means. Let's see. This is going to be. That's crazy. Plus 300. I don't think that if you're taking Tony Ferguson, you want to rely on him to win by decision. I think if you're taking Tony Ferguson, you believe Tony Ferguson has the tools to submit there's always one. Beneil Dariush. I think if you're betting Tony Ferguson, you believe that Tony Ferguson has the tools to either knock out or TKO or submit Dariush off his back because Dariush is going to go. You never know. Tony has one of the nastiest guillotines. He can turn that guillotine into a Darce choke. He can turn that guillotine into a triangle. He's got one of the best submission games that we forget about because he's been fighting championship caliber fighters. This is not a championship caliber fighter right now. He may be. If he beats Tony, he's a contender. But Tony Ferguson has been fighting championship caliber fighters, not just contender caliber fighters, championship caliber fighters. Let's take a quick look because we just harp off that every time. So let's take a quick look. Charles Oliveira, oh, he's fighting for a championship. Justin Gaethje, oh, he just fought for a championship. Anthony Pettis, former champion. Rafael Dos Anjos, former champion. Josh Thompson, former champion. Then you have Donald Cerrone and Kevin Lee thrown in there as well, who are some of the most dangerous fighters out there. You know, Donald never got a chance to be a championship caliber fighter, but he was a contender in his heyday. Kevin Lee got close, but he had some bad losses. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 championship caliber fighters with 1, 2, 3 former champions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything you're saying is wrong. I think I'm leaning on the parlay with Dariush and the over to get some additional juice. Exactly. But
this is going against parlaying Tony with anything. If you're going to bet Tony, you're taking a huge risk. Don't take the risk. Just take the dog.
Yep, I like that. That should be a new logo. Don't take the risk, take the dog.
Yeah.
I like that. That might be the name of this week's episode. So, but we're not done yet. It is time to get to the main event of the evening. This is going to be so fun. I'm really excited for the hype videos for this one because you got Michael Chandler versus Charles Oliveira fighting for the interim lightweight champion of the world.
Michael Chandler is the new Tony Ferguson of shit talk.
And he's great at it. Not only is he great at it, well, Tony Ferguson's weird about it.
He's weird about it, but I'm talking about somebody who says, I'm going to come out, I'm going to finish you, I believe in myself, and I don't care who the fuck you are, I'm going to come out and I'm going to fucking finish you. And that's how Tony attacked.
Yeah, and you know why I respect the Chandler thing so much is because he's coming from a different organization. Like he's coming from Bellator, where he's the new guy and he's already in his second fight in the UFC contending for a championship belt, and he's talking that talk. And you got to respect it in this scenario, especially because he's fighting for an interim belt. I mean, I think he would have done the same thing if he was going to fight Poirier. And to be honest with you, I think that his matchup with Poirier was a lot better. I would actually liked him a lot better in that fight. I think stylistically, that was way of a better fight for him in terms of how they fight. And let's talk a little bit.
That's what's great. That's why he's the new Tony. He doesn't care.
He doesn't fight like Tony, but he does talk like him. I can see what you're saying.
I'm saying he talks like Tony. He acts like Tony.
He's got a little bit of that Colby Covington in him. He's not as annoying, obviously. Yeah. But he's got a little bit of that Colby, a little bit of that Conor McGregor in him. So let's talk about the bets here. Charles Oliveira is your favorite at -135, coming off of a win against Tony Ferguson that was one of my cash crops a few months back. And Michael Chandler's +115. The over-under is 2.5. The over's +135. Vegas sees a quick finish. What do you see?
Well, first off, who gave you that cash crop plot?
Yeah, we talked about that, and you gave me the insight on that. You gave me the.
You wanted to bet it. That was your lean, but
I was leaning Oliveira. I was scared at the time. I mean, Oliveira hadn't really beaten, made a big name for himself, but he's fighting Tony Ferguson. I was a little concerned, but that dog was, as they say, the old dog can still dig.
And everyone always remember to shop because I'm looking at my personal book and I got Michael Chandler at +115 instead of +105. Charles Oliveira is still at -135, but I got an extra +10. You know what I mean? If you're a big bettor, if you're $100, $200, $500 bettor, that +10 matters a lot. So shop, folks, shop. Before I get into my pick, I'm going to talk about some of the statistics I got here. So, Oliveira is a better all-around fighter, the full package. He can strike, he can grapple, he can submit you, he can submit you from the bottom, he can submit you from the top, he can hold you and ground and pound you and finish you from the top. Things that Michael Chandler doesn't have the ability to do. But Michael Chandler doesn't need to do that. He showed in the Dan Hooker fight that he's going to get in your face and he's going to put so much pressure on you that you don't have the ability to think about these things, and then you got to dodge his bombs. And the key difference here is that Chandler has never been submitted. I mean, he's fought some excellent grapplers in Bellator.
He's a D1 wrestler.
He's a D1 wrestler. He's got an 80% takedown defense. I believe Charles Oliveira's takedown percentage is 57% success rate. So, it's not like Charles Oliveira is going out there and just bombing people. You know what? No, it's 47%. I got a typo here. It's 47%. So, it's not like Charles Oliveira is going to come out and just be able to overpower him and throw him down. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with a standing fight. Now, you could not have told me that Michael Chandler was going to make Dan Hooker look like a little bitch. Like, I mean, he came out, he pressured him,
shot out like a cannon.
Yep. And that one line from our podcast was, I have a gut feeling that Michael Chandler is going to come out like a shot out of a cannon. We even used that line, like a shot out of a cannon, and just knock him the fuck out. And that's what he did. And that's what he's consistently did in Bellator. And that's why that wasn't a fluke, is because he used to do that in Bellator all the time. Mm-hmm. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with Charles Oliveira with a 74-inch reach advantage versus a 71-inch reach disadvantage for Michael Chandler. Now, normally that should be a problem, but Dan Hooker had like a 79-inch reach,
that didn't
80-inch reach, and that didn't mean two shits, because that's how much pressure Michael Chandler brings into the cage. So, Oliveira. Go ahead.
Can Oliveira match that intensity?
Yeah, I don't think he needs to do that. The question to me is, can Oliveira weather the storm for the first round? Can he weather the storm? Can he use his reach advantage and his better? Charles Oliveira is a smarter striker. He's a fundamental striker. The way he strikes is, I'm going to hit you and you're not going to hit me. Michael Chandler is like, I'm going to take 3 of your punches and I'm going to hit you with one that puts you to sleep. He's always been that way, and he continues to be that way, and it works for him because of his power. He is Dan Henderson at 155 with more power and better takedown defense. So, I mean, at this point, let's just follow our gut. Michael Chandler to win by KO, TKO. That is the bet that I am looking for. But if I don't get enough value, because we do not have a line, there's no lines out for Michael Chandler by KO, TKO. If I don't get enough value there by KO, TKO, I'm going Michael Chandler parlayed with the under of 2.5 rounds, because I believe that if it gets to the third round, Charles Oliveira will win the fight by decision. So those first 2 rounds are so important for Michael Chandler. I think he has what it takes. I'm going to ride that side, even though I've been a big Charles Oliveira opponent. The thing is, Charles Oliveira has shown a weak chin. He was knocked out by Cub Swanson, and then he was TKO'd by Max Holloway, and then he was TKO'd by Paul Felder by elbows. So when the people that I just referenced, Paul Felder, Cub Swanson, Max Holloway, they are pressure fighters. They're get in your face. I'm going to pressure you. Max is volume. Paul Felder is, I'm going to hit you really hard. And
Cub Swanson
is, I'm going to hit you really hard too. So when he gets put in those situations, he folds when he gets hit. Now those are the old Charles Oliveira. That was 3 years ago. His striking has evolved leaps and bounds. But I think that Chandler is a one-of-a-kind talent who should have been in the UFC a long time ago, and who really, really would have been interesting to fight Khabib, because he has the wrestling chops. That, everyone said Justin Gaethje had the wrestling. He had the wrestling chops to stop a Khabib takedown, and he had the one-punch power to knock him out too, just like Gaethje, but on a higher scale. In my opinion, that's an opinion. An opinion. Everyone remember that. We're here for opinions. We're here for gambling opinions. So I am going to take either Chandler by KO TKO, or if I cannot get a good enough line, I will parlay him with the under, whichever one has more value for me, whichever one has a better dog. And I'm going to sprinkle in Michael Chandler to win in the first round. $10.
All right. It is time for me to pick my hands up, grab that flag and plant it. I'm flag planting on Michael Chandler money line. That is my bet this week. You give a lot of my handicaps for me, which I appreciate. Save me some breath and some time. But a few things to think about here. What does Michael Chandler walk in on his entrance every single fight? His USA flag. And he's going to be in the heart of Houston, Texas, in front of 19,000 fans. Everybody will be behind him. You know what it was like being at an arena recently when the whole stadium is behind you, and Oliveira from Brazil can't even speak English, is going to walk into that arena, into that ring.
Always going to hear USA.
And then on top of that, all the adrenaline, everything Michael Chandler's going to be feeling, a title fight. He's been there before. He's been in title fights. This is nothing new to him. He's won championships before. Now he walks into that ring and he rushes Oliveira with all that pressure and he even said it in an interview, I'm going to walk in that ring and I'm going to go straight in his face and he's not going to be able to get rid of me. Now, all of that being said, he does all of that, gets in Oliveira's face. How does Oliveira respond? I don't know if he's got the spunk, if he can handle, the pressure, not just the physical pressure, the mental pressure that he's going to be feeling. This is a guy that's fought 43 fights in his professional MMA career. He's done a lot, but he's never been on this stage. Michael Chandler's been on this stage. I believe in the narrative of pressure. I believe in the narrative of being there before. And Michael Chandler has all of that. He's going to have the whole crowd behind him. He's a D1 wrestler. Oliveira isn't going to throw him around like a rag doll like he did to Ferguson. That's just not going to happen. Especially now we get a 5-round fight for, they may be thinking like, oh, I got to play the smart game. Like Oliveira may be thinking, I need to make sure I drag this fight on so that I don't gas myself. Chandler ain't doing that. He is not going to. He's going to come at you like a pit bull, and he's going to try to bite and bite and bite, and he ain't going to get tired. Trust me, I have a pit bull. She never gets tired, ever.
Never, ever.
So I'm flag planting on Michael Chandler strictly by money line at the moment. That's my flag plant. Mm-hmm. I do love the concept of the first round TKO, but
I will have Michael Chandler money line on top of TKO with the parlay.
I have a gut feeling that Oliveira is going to feel so much pressure that he's going to clinch a lot and he's not going to be able to take him down. And they may be sitting on the cage for quite some time. I think that's a very realistic opportunity. But I think during those opportunities, I think that's the chance for Michael Chandler to get some of those knees in and wear down the body. And I could see a second round knockout. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah. That's why I really want by KO, TKO, but I'm going to have Michael Chandler for 1 unit straight up. And then I'm going to have Michael Chandler in the under or Michael Chandler by TKO KO.
All right. Well, we did it.
I'm trying to get how many championship fights has Michael Chandler had? And I cannot find it.
Well, he held his belt for quite some time.
He won the Bellator championship,
but then lost
against Eddie Alvarez in 2011.
Yeah, then he lost it, and then he got it back, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so let's see. So he beat Eddie Alvarez in 2011. Then he had 1, 2, 3 title defenses, and then he lost. He lost to Eddie Alvarez, losing the belt, and then he got the belt back when he won the belt against Patricky Fier, which is the brother of Patricio Fier, who ended up beating him. So let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 title
Six,
fights
7,
he's been in, then 5,
9,
then 6, then he lost
10. This is his
7,
10th.
and then 8, 9. This is his
This
10th.
is
Yeah,
10.
this is his 10th.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Like this dude is gonna come out.
I mean, and let's not let people like act like he wasn't beating, like you just said, Eddie Alvarez, legend, even Patricky, Benson Henderson.
Like people don't understand that Patricio Fieri is better than.
Actually, I just saw Patricky fight this week. Wasn't he on the card?
Yeah, we won off Patricky.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, he. Oh no! Remember, Patricky got stopped by the elbows.
The doctor stoppage.
The Kenny Florian elbows. Kenny Florian back in the day won by elbowing off his back, and then the doctor stopped it, and that's what happened.
That's right. The Peter Quayle fight. That was sick.
But he
just lost that.
He beat Benson Henderson twice. He beat Sidney Outlaw, who I know you don't know who he is, but he's a fucking stud. He beat Brent Primus. He beat Gochi Yamaguchi. These are all Bellator legends, Japan and Asia legends. So, like,
hey, at the end of the day, we're on the same page. Yeah. We like Chandler. I love it. UFC 262 is going to be something special. Let's do a quick recap on our bets, shall we?
Yes, sir.
All right, it's about 7:00 Eastern on a Tuesday right now. Yeah. We got the biggest heat game in franchise history, as I like to always say. So let's do a quick recap so we can enjoy that. I'll do a quick recap because I'm pretty sure I got all the bets memorized. You have your prelim parlay of the over of the Aguilar Lutz fight parlayed with the over of the Venata Grundy fight. Is that correct?
Yep.
You have a lean on Jordan Wright over Jamie Pickett.
Yep.
But no official bet. We both are handshake betting on Baby Chev.
Yep.
Baby Chev.
Baby Chev.
I took Jacare. Souza, you are tailing me.
I took Jacare as well.
All right, tailing that. As we get to the main card, I have a pig parlay of Matt Schnell and the over.
I will most likely. I have a lean of Matt Schnell. I don't think I'm going to take him with the over. I might parlay him with something else, but I really like Matt Schnell to win. So he's not a bad bet straight up, ladies and gentlemen.
And then you are on the under of the Barbosa Burgess fight.
That's my Berndawg.
As a big Berndawg. This is we are taking it to, yeah, I know. I just been, you know what I mean? Yeah, we are taking it to the barn. Yeah, we're taking it to the barn on Chikugian versus BV for the women's flyweight bout for a nice bottle of whiskey. You are taking the over as a flag plant on the Ferguson Dariush fight at -170, laying juice.
Risking 3 units.
I will be, okay, I know what you're doing. And I will be leaning on, actually, I already locked it in. I'm going to take Dariush and the over parlayed. And
I may be tailing. Maybe.
I'm going to flag plant on Michael Chandler money line. And you are going to take Chandler via TKO or KO.
I just put 35, which is about a unit and a half, close 1.3 units on Chandler money line. And then as soon as we get a TKO line, TKO KO line, if that line is less than the under parlayed with Michael Chandler, whatever has a better line, I'm taking.
Awesome. Well, hey, it's been an honor as always. Looking forward, we still have some sick cards upcoming. We've got
Let's do this. Let's do a 20-minute little convo about the upcoming Bellator, about PFL
next week,
about upcoming fights. It'll be released sometime next week.
You heard it from the man himself. We call it the Barn Burners because of one reason, and that is for the Berndawg himself. Berndawg, let's get some W's for everybody out there.
W's for the team, ladies and gentlemen. Catch you later.